The useful bishop can also be purely defensive. Gamera 16 rated 1827 versus Mr. Schlock 1732. Internet 30-minute 2006. White to move. One would think that white should stand better here. His bishop is far more active than black's silly-looking thing, while the e6 pawn, sitting on an open file and facing off to a pair of enemy rooks, is weak, and the e5 square is a gaping wound in the middle of the board. To top it off, white even has the move, yet things aren't so clear. It turns out that white's d-pawn isn't as safe as one might suppose, while the threat of rook takes f3 shattering white's king's position is serious and needs to be dealt with. Still, white can avoid that unpleasantness with both rook e3 and knight e5 as their next move. So isn't white better after all? To find an answer to this, we need to address the bishops. It turns out that the active white bishop, with its proud trumpeting over its domination of the b1 h7 diagonal, isn't helping the rest of its forces deal with rook takes f3, or with the weakness of e5, or its own slightly loose pawn on d4. On the other hand, black's despised mutant on d7 is single-handedly keeping e6 intact. Another way to look at this is that one bishop is holding off two enemy rooks. And once e6 is no longer in peril, that inactive piece can emerge from behind its own lines via bishop to b5, bishop a4, or bishop from d7 to e8 to g6, or bishop from d7 to e8 to h5, and create its own brand of activity outside its pawn chain. Let's see how play continued. Knight to e5. Another idea, rook e3, rook takes f3, exclam. My student Mr. Schlock missed this idea earlier when he blitzed a move to gain some time on the clock. He insisted that he wouldn't have missed it again. And black, with two good center pawns for the exchange, has no reason to be unhappy. So the main move we're looking at from the game is knight e5. Not knight takes d4. Bishop g6, knight takes e2, rook takes. And white is winning material after something like and knight takes e5, rook takes e5. D takes e5 makes no sense since it fills the hole on e5, turns the d5 pawn into a pass pawn that's protected, and blocks both rooks of white's. Remember, you want to make moves that do good things for your position, not good things for your opponents. Queen to h4. Queen to f4. So now this pawn is untouchable because of the discovered check. In the actual game, white set a trap and black fell right into it. So in the actual game, f4 was played. Queen takes h3 double question mark. Correct was g5 with mutual chances in a complex battle. After rook h2, here I was hit. This is white saying, here I was hit by that I'm going to vomit feeling I always get when I realize I've hung my face. Sorry, that's what black said, who's Silman's student. Queen is trapped. So we're looking at a better line, which is king h2, e5. And not rook takes e5. Winning position. So this is instructive because it's about both sides activating their bishops, particularly black though. e6 peters out to equality after d takes e3, takes, rook takes f7, rook takes e3, queen f5, equal. Once a useful defender, now black's bishop has morphed into a fierce attacker. And the game was drawn by repetition here. After something like this. Okay, so just to recap, we can flip this around. So this is more about looking at it from black's perspective. And it's important to note the difference in the position with the activity of the d7 bishop after some exchanges and active play by black and a good sacrifice at the right moment. They were able to change their bishop. While it was a useful defensive bishop, it became a good attacking piece that ended up at least saving the game.